Hey, what's up, team? This is Dylan. Just want to give a quick overview of our new back-of-house monitor console. So if you are scheduled for back-of-house audio and Element Live, you'll be using this bad boy, this new toy that we've got to mix everybody's monitors. There are a couple things that have changed since getting this new system. One of which is actually we've added some iPad applications to allow the band and vocalists to mix their own monitors. So you may be wondering, okay, if the band's mixing all of their own in-ear mixes themselves, what am I doing when I'm back at house? So what you'll be doing back here are things that the band can't do themselves. So they control audio levels in their mix, but what you can control is all the processing, EQ, compression, all that good stuff. So when it comes to somebody dealing with an issue in their mix that maybe they're turning up volume and their mix isn't really getting any more, it's not getting clearer, maybe it just sounds muddy, and all they can do is change levels from their end. But what you can do is you can go in and fix some EQ issues if there are any. You can adjust some compressor settings, gate settings if needed, all that kind of stuff. So we'll be doing some more training on kind of how to make those adjustments and what to listen for, what to hear, and what things should sound like. But for now, I'm just going to give you a quick overview. So that's one change. Another change is obviously you have a console. So now we have actual faders that you can mix with. You got buttons you can press rather than just a mouse and a keyboard on a computer. So this is huge for us. It's a huge step moving forward. That's awesome, a lot of fun. I'm going to get into this here in a little bit. We also have replaced our MyMix system with what is called an ME monitoring system. So it's Allen and Heath's basically version of MyMix, which I think is actually better than the MyMix. It sounds better, it's cleaner, it's awesome. It can handle up to 40 channels at one time. So that's this controller here. So just to give you kind of a quick overview on this controller, there are 16 buttons that are assigned to either individual channels or groups. So there's another video that I've posted online regarding this, so I'm not going to get too deep into this, but the reason why Back of House has this at their disposal is so that they can hear what some of the band members are hearing. So another question you might have is, well, I thought the band was mixing their own ears from iPads. So that's a great question. Why are we using an ME system if we now have iPads? And how does all that work? So basically, vocalists and your guitar and bass players are going to be using wireless in-ear monitor packs. So these Sennheiser IEM packs, and they're wireless. So basically everybody on platform, with the exception of keys and drums, are going to be using these wireless packs and mixing their mix from an iPad. Your keys and your drummers, they do not have wireless packs, but they have these ME systems that they will mix their own mix from. So that's why you have this back here, so you can hear what the keys and the drums are hearing. Granted, you set your own levels, so you're not going to hear exactly what they're hearing in the moment. But if they're saying, hey, the bass is really distorted in my mix, you can go in and you can grab the bass and listen to it and verify if it's distorted on your end, or maybe it's not distorted on your end, and maybe they just have it cranked up really loud in their mix, which is making it sound distorted. So things like that. That's why you've got this here, basically for troubleshooting purposes and to make sure everything's getting there that needs to be going there. So you also have, Back of House now has a Sennheiser wireless pack. So in the past, I'm going to grab this real quick. In the past, we've been using this old Shure wireless pack, which sounds terrible, and it's not even close to what the band's using. So now we've upgraded to a wireless Sennheiser pack, which just sounds way better. It gives you a better representation of what the band and vocalists are actually hearing. So you'll be listening to everybody's mix through this pack. Again, same pack they're using. So that's an upgrade as well. So just to get into the console and kind of how it's set up, basically there are 12 faders on the board, and there are 6 different layers. So similar to our front of house board, just kind of half the size. So on layer A, you've got all of your vocalists and band members' mixes or auxes. And then you have your own aux, your talkback mic, music director mic, all that good stuff. Layer B is all your drums, bass, and an iPod. Some of this layout might change as we get familiar with kind of workflow and what we do and don't need. So layer C, this is where you've got all of your guitars. You got acoustics, electric guitars, keys, pad, tracks, click and metronome. Layer D is all your vocalists and communicator mics. So you've got your frontline vocals, your choir, emergency host, backup mic, and then your ear set microphones for pastors. Layer E, you've got some playback devices like your video channels, got the iPad, and then all of your effects. And then layer F, basically you have your audience mics, front of house talkback mics, so you can have that on or off, and then back of house has their own DCAs. We also have assignable soft keys. So starting from the top, number 1, whenever you press that, it automatically paffles and mixes aux 1, which for this weekend is Pastor Nate. So to quickly get into his mix, you just hit soft key number 1, boom, you're automatically listening to his mix in your ears, and you're mixing in his mix. So when you flip through your layers of faders here, you can make adjustments in his mix real quick. If you need to move on to the next person, IEM2, hit number 2, so on and so forth, all the way through. 9 is to mix the choir, and 10 is to mix your own mix. So if you are not in somebody's mix, if you're not listening or mixing somebody else's mix, you always want to be mixing in your own mix. If you are not in a mix at all, it defaults to mixing the front of house console, which all of these channels we have unassigned from the front of house mix, so nothing should be heard, but just for safety, always make sure if you're not in somebody's mix that you're in your back of house mix. Again, it's soft key number 10. Moving on down, soft key number 19, all the way down here at the bottom, you see that it's red. What this does is it's actually a mute all button. So let's say something is just, maybe we've got some frequency issues, it's blaring everybody's ears, and it's really hurting everybody's ears, and you don't know what it is, you don't have time to figure out what it is, you just need to get it out of everybody's ears. What you can do is hit this mute all, and it will mute the all DCA, which is all of the basically microphones, and yeah, so it basically mutes all the channels via this DCA. So that way if something's feeding back, you kind of kill it just with one button, and then that'll give you time to be able to go in. You can paffle each channel until you find it. So back of house has its own paffle. So basically in this audio system we have 2 paffles. We have a front of house paffle, which is paffle 1, and then we have a back of house paffle, which is paffle 2. So anything that you paffle on this console will automatically go to your speakers and your in-ear monitors. Anything front of house paffles from the front of house console will only go to the front of house speakers up there by their desk. So it's a little bit different than what we used to do. Our paffle used to only go to front of house, but now you can use the paffle to kind of solo things out if you need to, or to mix somebody's mix. You also might notice whenever you hit paffle, the mix button follows. We've got it set up like that on purpose. So if you want to mix somebody's mix, you can either use the soft key or you can hit paffle on their mix, and you can get into that way. It does not work the opposite way. So if you click mix on somebody's mix, it will not paffle. So the way this is set up, mix follows paffle, which means whenever you hit paffle, the mix button follows it. Unfortunately, I haven't found an option yet to set it to paffle follows mix, which would mean whenever you hit mix, the paffle button follows. I haven't figured that out yet. It might be possible, it might not, but for now, we've got it set up for mix follows baffle. Also, you have separate trim capabilities. So what that means, some of you might be wondering what is trim and what does it do. So during line checks, the front of house engineer is setting gain on everybody. That's basically adjusting the input level coming into the audio system for each channel, each microphone, each instrument. So as that person is setting gain, you know, levels going up and down depending on what he's doing with that trim, whether he's turning it up or turning it down. Well, back of house, sometimes you might have to compensate. So let's say the front of house engineer turns gain up on a channel, and it's just cranked in everybody's ears now. What you can do is you can go to that channel and use the trim to pull to trim that gain down. Here's the thing though, trim and gain are different. Trim comes after gain. So after front of house sets the gain, you can go back and trim it to kind of fine tune your adjustments in everybody's ears. Make sure nothing's clipping back here. Make sure everything just sounds nice and clean. So that is new as well. So during mic checks, whenever front of house is setting gain, you should be setting it back here as well, making sure nothing's clipping, nothing's sounding distorted and nasty. You should always be listening in during mic check. Always pay attention. And a lot of times you might have band members wanting to change stuff in their mix, but this go around they have iPads, so if they want to change something right off the bat, they can do that themselves, and later on they can change it again once gain gets set if they want to. So that's a quick overview. I'll hit some more here on another video. If you got any questions, let me know.